All right, good evening, everybody. I apologize for the nasal tone in my voice tonight, but it's still training season for us teachers in the classrooms and around the building. Haven't quite built up my immune system just yet. Thanks for coming tonight. My name's Tim Reimer. I'm the building principal here. I'm excited about the turnout already. Weren't quite sure how many people we would get. But given the news these days, especially about vaping, really good information tonight shared by both our student assistance counselor, Ms. Cartier, and not Lieutenant Bradis, as up on the screen, but Officer Mike Thompson. I want to welcome them tonight, thank them for coming, and thank them for being part of the conversation. At noon today, this afternoon, at noon, the CDC posted on the front of their website the following. The CDC, the US FDA, state and local health departments, and other clinical and public health partners are investigating a multi-state outbreak of lung injury associated with e-cigarette product, devices, liquids, refill pods, and/or cartridges use. That was this afternoon at noon. So obviously we're talking about a topic that is, as you know, in the news and very, very prevalent. Clearly, your presence here tonight indicates that you want to learn more. Just so that you know, in the high school, we treat vaping very, very seriously, along with any other controlled substances. First-time offenders are immediately put out for a chem screen, and then dealt with not only from a treatment perspective, but also from a disciplinary perspective upon return to the building. Something we take very, very seriously here. Obviously, the experts that I have in the room are much more versed than I am, although as you can see, between Officer Thompson and Officer Gross, our student resource officer, our school resource officer, being in the room tonight, it's an ongoing conversation between school and law enforcement and a partnership between the two. So again, thank you for coming, Ms. Cartier and Officer Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm Ms. Cartier. I'm the student assistance counselor here at the school. Basically, what that means is exactly what it sounds like. I assist students. I have a variety of different responsibilities. One of them is the substance abuse policy and doing education and strategies to try to help them and identify at-risk students and trends so that we can get them the support that they need. This evening will be focused primarily on vaping because it's just such a hot topic and trend that we have to do our due diligence to make sure we're getting the information to all of you so that you can watch out for the health and safety of your children. I handle a lot of other things as well. Any at-risk thing that you can think of with students, whether it's depression, anxiety, peer conflict, relationship issues. So one of the reasons I love to be here is because I want you to see my name and get to know me so that if you have a concern or an issue, because sometimes we don't like to ask them in front of other people, all you have to do is email me and I am a resource person for you. If I can't help you, I will give you the tools and the connections to the people that can assist you to help your child. Because we don't only want them to learn, we want them to be healthy, happy, and have optimal functioning in school and outside of school. So, vaping has changed how people consume nicotine, and that becomes a huge issue. And Officer Thompson is going to talk more about that. I'm not going to go into a lot of those details because he has a really great presentation where he can show you some of the different tools that are used. Outside on the middle table, I have some resources, and there are some connected to vaping. So if you want more information about vaping, what it looks like, how they use it with marijuana or dabbing, those type of things are out there. But the Partnership for Drug-Free America, which is an online resource, has a lot of great things for parents too, even how to bring up the conversations. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to my partner so that he can start his presentation.
All right, I'm not very good with the microphone, and I have this thing too, so if I talk into one and not the other, y'all. I'm Officer Thompson. I work with the Washington Township Police Department. My contact information is up on the screen here. You probably won't remember it, but if you do need to get in touch with me, my email is on our website, as well as my phone number and extension. Okay, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions outside of here regarding this or anything else. Okay. A little background with me. I've been with the department for going on 12 years now. I'm a narcotics canine handler. I'm also a drug recognition expert with the International Chiefs of Police Association. So we see things on the patrol level. So any questions that you have about, concealing these things, I'm going to show you different devices, the use of them, or any aspect of your kids, concealing them or hiding them, purchasing them, anything like that. That we have experience at the street level with. I'm not a doctor, pharmacist, anything like that. I can tell you what we learned, and we can expand from there. Beyond that, if you have questions, health related, that's something that you can reach out to the school or physician about. The reason I bring that up is there's a lot of talk in the media now, obviously, about vaping. The CDC has put a lot of different things out. I have some in my slide presentation here. They haven't really put their finger on exactly what the issue is, but they do have ideas of what it may be. Most recently, the issue is now the lung infections and the lung issues that they're experiencing from the vaping is because the vaping material is an oil-based substance. So anytime you ingest an oil-based substance into your lungs, your body obviously has to get rid of that somehow, and oil-based is much harder to get rid of than a water-based solution, obviously. So they think that's related to some of these complications. Also, the environment in which these things are made. You do have, I want to say, legitimate companies. You have the Julian company. You have different e-cigarette companies that sell commercially, which are made in laboratories under controlled environment. But you also have black market items. You have vape shops and things that they're making their own stuff, and it's not within a controlled environment necessarily. You also have the illegal aspect of it with the marijuana and the THC oils. Also not made usually within a regulated area. So they don't know where these infections and things are coming from because it's coming from so many different sources. With that being said, vaping and juuling, I guess the big question is, what is vaping, right? So if you have seen them, that's great. If you haven't, I'll show you some pictures. Vaping is a device. Usually what looks like a USB thumb drive, typically. I'll show you there's endless forms they can be in. But what the devices do is they take an oil, usually nicotine-based, and it vaporizes it. There's a coil inside that gets very hot. It turns it into a vapor. You inhale it, and then your body is going to react to whatever chemicals are in it. Typical chemicals to be in there is nicotine. I think I'm going to look at myself here. But yeah, there's nicotine, which is your most common. There are solutions that have nothing in them other than flavor and the vapor itself, which is uncommon because you get no reaction to it. There's caffeine. There's also marijuana and CBD, and we'll touch on that in a minute here. You have to be 21 years old to purchase these, the same as cigarettes. Let's see, I'm messing up with my clicker here. So see, these are some of the different devices. On the top left, they're the more common items that we see. And the ones that represent a pipe or a cigarette, they're pretty easy to identify. In the center here, that's your more of a high-powered vaping device. What that is basically the part that he's holding is a large battery, and that's going to power two coils inside of it that get very hot. And then the canister that's closer to his mouth, that's going to be the vaping material. Typically, that's used for more of a marijuana-based substance. These are what we're seeing most, most with the vaping, the joint device. They're very small, as you can see on the left here. It looks like a thumb drive. It looks like we put in a computer, so it's easy to conceal. The center is the cartridges that come with it. The cartridges that you see here, they're different flavors. New Jersey has now made it an offense for them to sell any flavor over the counter that's anything other than tobacco flavor or menthol. Any of the flavored ones you have to go online, and that's obviously because we're targeting children. All right, so what do they contain? The main substance is propylene glycol. That's just a solution that everything can be suspended in. There's glycerin, there's water, nicotine, and then other flavors. And then they can substitute the nicotine for, like I said, either marijuana, THC, anything like that. Some of the other substances that we're seeing they're using are the marijuana, that's the most common, hash oils and waxes. So you'll hear people talk about dabs. That's when they take the marijuana wax and it's vaporized either through a e-cigarette. They can use a hot nail, anything that vaporizes that substance and then inhale it. Bath salts. So we're seeing some bath salts. Can you guys hear me if I talk about that thing?
Yeah.
So some of the other substances are marijuana, hash oils, bath salts. So you'll hear about bath salts in the news. Bath salts are marketed as bath salt, but they have nothing to do with bath salts. This is a substance that has a methamphetamine-like reaction to your body, and that can also be vaped. So it's a crystalline substance. Also put on the hot coil. When it hits hot coil, it vaporizes, and then you're going to get you can inhale it in there. Flacco started in Florida. Unfortunately, we're seeing some of it come up the coast. Most recently, I think they had an issue with it in South Plainfield. It's a bath salt-like substance. You get a methamphetamine type reaction to it. There are videos that you see with people stripping down their clothes, running parking lots, superhuman strength, jumping into traffic, things like that. And then your synthetic marijuana is your spice. Were very popular at one point. They're kind of not as popular now because there's a lot more stuff available. But we'll get into what they are in a couple slides here. So, why do they? Why do they? People decide to vape marijuana rather than smoke it. There's a couple reasons. One, you don't get the telltale smell. All right. So when you smoke a joint or you smoke a bowl, you get that telltale marijuana smell, burning vegetation. With the oils, sometimes you get it a little bit. Usually there's no smell at all because it's at such a high heat and it vaporizes, and there's not a lot of exhale. Most of it's in the lungs, and there's not a lot of odor about it. So they can use that effect, right? Back and things like that, and typically will not smell. THC is concentrated much higher in vaping. Did I say vape juice? That's the terminology for the solution they put in there. So you can get a much higher THC content. All right. So how is it vaped? Marijuana is made through an extraction. Typically, they'll use a solvent, acetone, butane, something like that. They extract the THC from the vegetation. Once it's extracted from the vegetation, they'll burn off the solvent, and then they'll have what's a wax or oil. That wax or oil is then put into a liquid form with propylene glycol, or used directly as wax and we'll ingest it as that. So this is the other hot topic, CBD. All right. Most of my time, I see CBD specialists pop up in different areas. What's the difference between CBD and marijuana? Most recently, they legalized hemp in New Jersey. Prior to, I want to say, last year, the production of hemp was illegal in New Jersey. Now that hemp is allowed to be grown in New Jersey, CBD has now become legal. All right. There's two different kinds of CBD, and it's impossible for us to tell the difference without testing. All right. So CBD that's extracted from hemp. Well, let me backtrack. CBD, you have CBD and you have THC. They're two substances in marijuana. THC is your psychoactive substance. That's what makes you high. CBD is a cannabinoid that's in the marijuana that has similar properties as the THC but does not make you high. All right. That's what they're alleging to have the medicinal purposes, healing, things like that. So you can get the benefits of marijuana without getting high. True CBD should be extracted from hemp, and then the content of THC in it makes it legal. I believe I have a number up here. That's on the plan. It's like 0.03% THC. That is legal to sell in New Jersey and consume for people 21 years or older. All right. The problem is that some of the CBD is extracted from marijuana, number one, so it does have a higher THC content in it, and they advertise it as CBD, or it's straight marijuana oil and advertised as CBD. All right. We see it on the road all the time when we find cartridges. Everybody tells you it's CBD oil. It's never. It's always marijuana. It's just the way it is. So it makes it impossible for us and you as parents to identify these things. We have to step into a state laboratory to test it. For you guys, it's one of those things. It's like good luck. We're even seeing now that they're getting hemp flour, which looks like a bud. It's a bud of marijuana. They look identical. One will get you high, one won't. It smells the same, it looks the same. When you burn it, it smells the same. It's one of those things. We would take it and send it to the state lab to test it. There are kits you can get online if you wanted to test that. If that's situation. So this is just have the right CBD and what we talk about the marijuana. All right, so where do we get these things? Everything is accessible online. You can go to directly to the companies. My links I don't think are working right now. So the first one is a dual company. All right. The problem with online stuff is you just have to put a tab that says I'm over 21 years old. And you can have these things sent to your house. So
can I interject something?
Sure, absolutely.
I think it's important to know as parents as well that there are a lot of companies that basically will, if your child has a credit card because they like to order food or whatever, or let them go on Amazon and do things, there are different companies that they can go on and order some of these things and even get some of the marijuana to come into the state from out of state, and it won't come on your bill as if that's what it is. Part of what they do will say, are you over 21? But they also will say, what do you want us to say we're shipping it as? So, sneakers. They need new sneakers. You might not check the box might come in the mail, and you're like, okay, whatever. It's actually a vape with some of the dabbing oil. The companies that market it and sell it are ingenious. Even in terms of the school, they sell clothing. They sell clothing and sweatshirts where there's little pockets here so the vape can be hid here, so in class the student can vape. So that a teacher will have a really hard time finding it. They sell backpacks and all kinds of other accessories so that you can hide it, so that if we are suspicious and we try to do a search, it's hidden in a way that it'll be really hard to find. The consumer, aspect of this, it's a money market. They're making a ton of money with this. Just like when cigarettes and nicotine was like the big thing, way back, and people said, oh, you can be pregnant, you can smoke, there's no harm. And then all these studies come out. They put money into vaping as sort of a smoking cessation, but really, they saw that smoking was going down and vaping was the trend of the future. So when we talk about all the places they can go, this is sort of an access that kids have that maybe we didn't have because of the online culture and how they go on, and that we do give them credit cards and access to things because they need things. But you might want to just double check what you're getting, because it won't necessarily say it on your bill or on a different form, and I think that's really important to know. They're very savvy. I mean, I didn't even know that until I went to trainings with different, officers and cops, and it's a little disconcerting that there's always a way around, us sort of parenting and teaching them healthy things.
All right, so here's the marijuana mega story. All right, this is an online site, one of the billion sites. The middle here, I don't know if you can see it, says they're 21 years or older. Yes. All right. Then you can go to Quincy Jones here in the corner. You can ask him what products you want to know about. All right. So this is a legitimate store in Colorado. They're legally owned and operated in Colorado. You can talk to Mr. Jones here, and you can order anything you want. Raw marijuana, vape products, waxes, oils, anything you can imagine. Okay, they come in gummy bears, Sour Patch Kids, anything that you can put an oil in, they'll put in the marijuana. Gum, lollipops, anything. Like I said, this is a legitimate, legally owned and operated store. It's not legal for New Jersey, but they will send it. All right. So if I talk to Quincy Jones here and I told him I want a bag of THC lollipops, or however much it costs, we'll send it to New Jersey. It comes in a very benign package. It'll be just a brown box with a shipping label on it. If you want to conceal it, I can ask Mr. Jones to put it like we were discussing in a box that says shoes, any box you want, and they will send it to you. It's very accessible, it's very easy. It's all for credit card purposes, and if they have no problem sending it to New Jersey. Alright, so this is some of the CDC facts. This is directly from their website. Like I said, there's a lot of media attention, there's a lot of political attention in regard to vaping. They have to put their finger on what the actual issue is. There's been numerous cases of lung infections or lung issues, but where they're coming from. They have found that of the 5 deaths, I believe there's 6 now. Those people were consuming marijuana-based vape products, along with the nicotine-based products. So, there's a lot of testing and things to go from here to figure out what it is. But long story short, it's bad. Anything you're going to ingest into your body, nicotine-based or marijuana-based or any of the other substances, is going to have a negative reaction.
So this week I met with the health department and vaping, hot topic, and one of the things that they had shared is there is a problem with misdiagnosing it in the ER. So there are times that people are going in with chest issues, they think it's pneumonia or breathing issues. If it's an adolescent, they're asking, are you vaping? Their answer is no. Not necessarily disclosing that they are, so they're treating it as if it's an infection. And the thing is, sometimes if it's an oil-based thing, it's actually a burn. And so they're mistreating it because they're misdiagnosing it because the information isn't accurate. So, as much as we have the numbers, it's 6 or 7, it could be more than that, and there could be way more issues than we're aware of because they're still trying to figure out how to sort of assess the people coming into the ER. It's kind of hitting everybody at the same time in a rapid succession, and that's why you're seeing so many articles and so much alarm, because no one really knows how to really figure out what's causing the health issues, And I always think it's interesting as a person who does this and has these education classes, I look at the articles, but then the other ones come up from the markets that are sort of trying to sell it, where they're saying, well, it's not really the vape products, and it's not really that vaping is bad for you, it's if you buy black market stuff, which potentially could have a bad result, but they want you to think that vaping is actually healthy, so they're trying to sort of spin it. And I think that's something that we need to be aware of so that we can educate our students and our children, because they might not know sort of the media literacy aspect of the consumers trying to sell unhealthy things. So I think that's another important point to sort of highlight. Back to you.
So, going forward here, we're going to talk touch on some other things. There's synthetic marijuana, the more common things, DXM, just like your cough meds, things like that. But before I get away from the vaping, I just want to open up if anybody has any questions. Do you have a question in the corner?
Is there a plan at West Morris to stop the vaping in that
I'm gonna take that bit.
So, I mean, vaping is part of our substance abuse policy, which means if someone is caught vaping, they are sent out for the drug and alcohol, which is part of the deterrent, because then we're not, we don't know if you're vaping nicotine or something else. And then part of that is that there's an assessment that goes with that, but there's also education sessions about vaping. This is a huge issue. I mean, we have the resource officers, we have security, we have people checking the bathrooms, but as I previously stated, they're very easy to hide. And they're very easy for kids to sort of sneak and use, which is why it's such a big event.
I'm hearing your detection rates that
They're not 100% accurate. It depends on where you get it. There's a couple local schools that have it. I actually just met with the Morris County counselors like me, and a couple schools have them, and it depends. You have to vape right underneath it for it to go off, and the kids know they're in there, so obviously they're not going to vape in the corner where the detection machine is unless you spend, you'd need a very sophisticated machine to sort of detect it. So they are ahead of us because there's not enough money and research put into detecting how to do it. So in terms of resources, education is our key, right? So we want to educate parents so that you're aware, because on the home front, you can address issues and make sure they're not acquiring things. And then on our front, we'll do the education and the interventions and educate our faculty and put the policies in place to hopefully add not only education but deterrence. Anything, Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, we've also, I think the education piece is important too for kids, right? We've moved a component of that into our health curriculum, which is important also just from an educational standpoint, for our staff also, evenings like this. But in addition to, the sweeps of bathrooms and close monitoring with staff and our SRO, there's many pieces to the puzzle, for sure. I think it's something that with a stronger policy that was put into place last year, that's been really, really helpful to us, because it gives us a leg to stand on when we do catch kids in terms of consequences, for sure, and that word spreads pretty quickly. And honestly, between the education component, the treatment component, the consequence component, I think we're doing a really good job.
So, what kind of controls do you have in place for transportation?
Say it one more time.
What type of controls do you have in place for transportation?
Sure, so at this point, our buses do not have cameras on them, but our bus drivers are able to report back to us. Should they see anything? Should they hear anything? Should they smell anything? We often have kids anonymously report back to us.
That's where we get most of our reports, are from students.
Very infrequently. But when it happens, whether it's the bus driver or a student coming to us, it's handled pretty swiftly. All the way back.
Is there anything being done locally to monitor the stores that are selling to the kids?
The stores, yes. Well,
Either this stuff or alcohol?
it's the same organization, through state police. It's in conjunction with alcohol and the tobacco industry. Once again, the stores are responsible for carding. I believe their policy now is if you look under 35 years old, you have to provide identification. Some of the stores are better than others. All right, Wawa scans your license. All right, you have to be 21 years old. If they scan your license at the time, you can't buy it. If you don't have a license, they will not sell it to you. Because the repercussion is fines, and then they can pull their license and sell them away. Some of the mom and pop shops, they may not be so reliable with that. They do send undercover, cops and shops type thing into the stores on a pretty regular basis, and they will receive fines and numerous violations. They could get their license. I believe that our town hall should have any statistics on it through the health, any violations. either liquor and or tobacco.
Is it illegal for someone under 21 to possess or use?
So his question was, is it illegal for anyone under the age of 21 to possess or use? It is ironic as it sounds, it's not enforceable by the police department. It's enforced by the state police, the ABC board. A juvenile that has these in their possession is not going to be summoned for it. It's very rare that would happen. The only time something like that would happen is if, they purchased it in the store and then they had like an undercover, they call cops and shops, officer in there, they may get a violation for that. The restrictions are more on the venues that are selling. Do I agree with that? No. But that's kind of the way it's set up. It's to control the sale, and not the possession. It's not like in marijuana where it's illegal to possess. It's more of the restrictions of sale.
So if marijuana and hemp is exactly the same, you pull someone over and they possess it, what do you do?
Okay, so his question was, we didn't hear it. If we pull somebody over and they have one of these devices, how do we determine if it's marijuana or hemp, and then going forward, what do we do there? The first thing is obviously to talk to them. I mean, a lot of times they'll tell you what it is. There's absolutely no way to tell the difference, other than if you talk to them and they say, yeah, it's marijuana, then it is what it is. If an arrest is going to be made, and if we're not certain, so let's say somebody has a large quantity and we're not certain, they say, no, it's CBD, we can seize that item, send it out to be testing, and then charge. Okay. The last thing we want to do is charge somebody that has something legally, but we do want to take it and send it out to be tested. If it comes back with CBD, as long as they're allowed to have it, they can have it back. Small quantities, say it's a juvenile in the car, it may be more productive to take them back to headquarters, have the parents come in, have a discussion with the parents, and let it be handled in the house. We could then still send it to be tested. The issue is if it comes back with, hit the marijuana, then there are legal consequences. A lot of times we like to let it be handled in the house, if that's feasible. But I have samples of this stuff. This isn't a good venue to pass it around because it's controlled stuff. If you drive by headquarters and you guys want to see it, I have them. By all means, stop in. I can let you see both. I have devices. I have everything. If you want to take a look at it, I'm there. 12 hours a day. Stop in, and I'll be more than happy to show you. But it's identical.
You have a question back?
Oh,
Can canines identify the difference?
they can.
So canines, can you bring canines to the school?
Well, so the question is, can canines differentiate the odor? They can. The issue is that the dog indicates on the odor. All right. So if I have a CBD cartridge that was in a bag that had marijuana in it at one point in time, the dog can still indicate on that, and it's still a legal substance. So we get into that, that battle. No, it's not. Yes, it is. We still have to send it to be tested. All right. Dogs don't indicate; they indicate on an odor. So a backpack could have been in the house where mom and dad are smoking marijuana, and the dog will indicate on that backpack because it's on the backpack. So it's not just a cut and dry type thing. So the dog isn't the end all answer, unfortunately. Question? Yes.
How many students or percentage or number have you caught vaping?
The question was how many percentage of students we've caught vaping? Less than 0.5%. Very, 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 very minimal. Those that have been caught, like I mentioned before, have been dealt with swiftly, immediately sent out for chem screen, the consequence that follows. usually sends a pretty strong message.
So just to kind of put our perspective on that, so in the school, it's a different environment than what we see out on the road. I'm involved in a lot of car searches, being that I'm a canine officer. Without actually having the numbers in hand, I would say in the 90 percentile. Cars that we search for either marijuana or any other illicit drug, heroin, crack, anything like that, there are not only one, but numerous vape devices in that car. Whether it be an adult or they're everywhere. You see them in cars, every stop sign. You can ask Officer Gross, when you stop a car, there's a huge chance that you're going to see a vape in the center console, or you're pulling behind the car and you see the big vape side come out of the car. I'm sure you've seen it. So that's the telltale sign. But more often than not, you see some sort of vape product or vape device. Not that everybody knows, but it's 8%. Right, so that leads you to believe that they're leaving in the car or not. Other questions?
I can tell you from my perspective as the substance abuse person that there are kids when they do get caught that need addressed, but I also have kids that come down on their own for support in terms of realizing they can't do it anymore. And actually that's probably the most productive way to educate them so that they realize it's an issue and then they seek help on their own. Because sometimes when people get caught and they get a lot of punitive interventions or we force counseling, they don't necessarily plan on stopping. They sort of will yes you and then try to figure another way to get what they need. When they come down on their own because they recognize some of the health risks and, oh, you ran track, but now you're having a hard time breathing. That's not because, that's because of the vape, and I think it's interesting, and I think as parents you also need to know, a lot of times they will sell it to you as, well, they don't have any nicotine or anything in it, and they just want to adjust it because everybody else is doing it. It's like a really sort of trendy hip thing. And my sort of argument with that is you don't want them taking anything in because there are always additives of some sort. And there is, as much as we're getting reports now, there's not that much documentation about the long-term effects of vaping. That's a 5-year, 10-year down the road science. And we're still sort of at the beginning of this trend hitting and then kind of reestablishing what each of the different vapes and devices look like and what chemicals can go in it and what chemicals can't go in it. And anytime anyone is ingesting something at a temperature into their lungs, there's going to be a negative effect. So that's what I try to kind of explain to them, and I think it's really important to know. I've had kids come in and I've had parents call me afterwards saying, so, did you recommend that they could go to a vape because they've been wanting to? I'm like, no, I would not recommend that. I don't know why they would share that information with you. Even if they are vaping, I would recommend that they stay on the vape and slowly wean off of it. Let's get off of it and get the support that we need. It's not healthy. When people want to do things, they be a little savvy with how they present the information, and the information is still sort of sketchy, which makes it challenging to sort of combat their issues. But we're very lucky that we work so closely with the police department and that we have resources. Like, I know what the health department's doing, I know what other schools are doing. I would say that I have about 5 or 6 trainings coming up in the next 6 months on vaping and different interventions for schools because it is so prevalent. Because I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about and how I can get ahead of it. So we're always trying to get the information and then, turnkey that to all of you because, you're on the home front and you have a lot of control over, keeping an eye on what they're doing there.
We're not trying to, that sounds like we're trying to shine a bad light on this, but, it's not like they're part of a drug network or a illicit drug, ring. It's a lot of them, people that are using them don't realize that they're bad, because they're marketed as a way to stop smoking. They have fruity flavors, bubble gum, this, that, and the other. They're not marketed as something that's going to cause a health problem. And a lot of people, until recent news, they didn't know that, you'll hear all the time that the vapor that they exhale, water, is a water vapor, so it's harmless. So they're not doing something that would be like.
Well, they're unknown of the circumstance, I think, a lot of times, because ingesting the tobacco at the rate that they are is giving them a higher high and a quicker addiction than if you're doing something else. That's the whole concept of vaping. So you have people who are using it who are like, ooh, bubble gum. You know, it's just bubble gum, you know, it's not that bad. And the percentages are generally higher than a pack of cigarettes. So, and it's going into the body quicker. So you're looking at a higher percentage of nicotine going in the body at a quicker rate. So now you think it's fun and all of a sudden you're addicted to it and you start to notice some of the negative side effects, but you might not really know they're negative side effects because it's hard to distinguish. So, you know, I think that's the teachable moment of adolescence. We have a duty to sort of educate them on what's healthy and what's not healthy. And I think that's a lot of the issue. It's the way that it's ingested and it's the potency of it, which is very challenging to address.
All right, so we're gonna move away from vaping a little bit now. I'll stick around if you guys have any more questions afterwards. Some of the more common things, okay? Yes, there is heroin, there's marijuana, there's amphetamine, there's all that on the road. What we're seeing more in the high school community and the young adult community are a little different sometimes, okay? A lot of what we're seeing is the K2 spice, all right? Was super popular 3-4 years ago. It kind of fizzled down a little bit, but now it's kind of coming back up. Because it kind of fluctuates with the marijuana industry, all right? When they were talking about legalizing marijuana, we saw less of that. A lot of people were using marijuana, thinking that, oh, it's going to be legal, it's not a problem. Now, it's kind of going back the other way, and K2 or spice is coming back. So what spice is, it's a vegetation. Could be anything. You find carpet fibers in it, you find all sorts of crazy stuff in it. It's kind of hard to see, but it somewhat resembles marijuana, being that it's usually a green vegetation. But then what they do is they spray it out once. The chemicals change every day. Right? The DEA keeps making the chemicals that they find an illegal substance, and the people making it will change a component of that immediately to make it not an illegal substance. So if you look at the DEA website and they schedule drugs, you'll see some marijuana, and they have a whole list of components that are illegal. All right, and that list is getting bigger and bigger, and the people making it keep changing. All right. Some of the issues are you don't have necessarily the same effects as marijuana because you don't know what they spray. A lot of it's related to like bath salts in the pocket. You're getting some real paranoid, delusional behavior where people are attacking that. It's sold in, they quote it as an incense because it smells good. They say, no, it's not to be consumed by humans. They'll say right on the bag. But they'll sell that at gas stations, rest stops, things like that, their shops, as an incense. And then I think that's marijuana. It can also be paid. So what they'll do is rather than spraying the chemical onto the vegetation, they'll put the chemicals into the cartridge. This is the recent criminal charge for it. If anybody cares, there's a New Jersey statute for possession of this, and you can see it in there. This is what I was talking about with the components. All right, so that first paragraph is the components. If they change one molecule in that and make it different, then it's not illegal. All right, and once again, the only way that we can find this out is to send it out and test it. All right, it is a third-degree crime for possession of an ounce or more. So an ounce is not a lot of that. All right, so this is the other scary thing out there, and we see this off and on. There was a lot of media attention about it at one point. Is the extra report EX happened. So this is the component of any alcohol medicines. All right. They're doing a better job of regulating these things. So if you come to a pharmacy lately and usually it's behind either a locked cabinet or behind a counter, you do have to provide ID and it's tracked through a database. So you can't go to Rite Aid and buy 2 of them and go to CVS and buy 2 of them. Okay, that's it. the person that's working puts everything in the database and they follow the rules. Right? But, so what's commonly done is they take high quantities of this stuff and you get a dissociative anesthetic effect. So a common dissociative anesthetic is PCT. So you're getting similar reactions to like PCT. High dose. If anybody's ever taken this stuff, you know it makes you feel more strange. With the recommended amount, so you're not taking higher bottle or 2 bottles of stuff, or the drug seems to happen. So you're getting this dissociative anesthetic effect. So the common names they call it, skilled robotripping is the most common. That's the triple C. The triple C is the first one. Alright, so who's using it? This is just some statistics here. The DEA, 12 to 20 years old, is your most common use of it, and that's this coming off of the emergency room. And then just, there's statistics there if you're not a person. But the big thing is that it is comparable to a PCP reaction. Some of the risks, all right, is you're getting that paranoia, you're disassociated with reality, so you may feel like you're out of body experience, things like that. You get drowsy, limbs can get numb, raised heart rate, and no body, which causes a lot of problems sometimes. If you go unconscious, you're vomiting, you're macerating, problems with that. But the damage to your liver, kidneys, cardiovascular is where you're going to see the death, which is not common. So that's kind of a quick snippet at some of the more uncommon things that they use, but what common in this environment, if that makes any sense. Outside of high school, there's like I said, the heroin, methamphetamine, things like that, which are, can be in high school, but these things are more prominent in high school. The big topic is heroin, obviously. You see that all around. There's certainly heroin all over from any aspect of high school on. In high schools, we see more of a prescription pill epidemic, and that usually leads into your heroin addiction. All right. A lot of the people that we talk to, so after we make arrest, we usually interview the person. More often than not, I hear the same story. And it's a true story. It's a sports injury, a work injury, some sort of injury where they go to a doctor, they're being treated, and they're prescribed medications. All right. Rightfully so, maybe, that's up to the doctor. What happens is you become addicted to these either by your own will or just from taking them as prescribed. And they can only prescribe them for so long. All right, it's either they can't prescribe anymore, insurance can pay for them, whatever the case may be. And now you're addicted. So now your supply of legitimate pain medication has been cut off, and then heroin. It's cheap, it's easy to get, and that's kind of the progression to see. Why we don't see heroin as much in the high school is because there's usually access to the pain medications while you're living with your parents or grandparents, going to parents' insurance, a sports injury. You could have a legitimate sports injury, get prescribed the medication, and have it for a period of time. And now, when years later on in life,
in addition to that, other than, heroin has a quick sort of hit and then people get addicted, but a lot of the different substances that people experiment with, it's long-term. Addiction isn't always an overnight thing. It's the chronic use of it, it's the building up of the tolerance of it, and the dependence. And so sometimes, somebody can start using in that high school setting, but then they might not have an addiction until the college setting. It takes a little bit of time. I do want to tell you what time it is, because we only have 10 minutes left for questions. So if anybody has any other questions or concerns, we're happy to take them at this time. If you don't, I just want to remind you that there's a table outside with resources. Some about vaping, some about all the other topics that we talked about, how to tell if your child is using or abusing a substance, how to sort of notice some of the behaviors that could be concerning. This way you can address it. If you have any other concerns, you can always contact Dr. Thompson. You're always welcome to contact me as a resource person here at the school.
Do we have another one?
I guess if there's no other questions, then I'm going to wrap it up and hand it back to Mr.